How often do you find yourself complaining of exhaustion? For some of us, it's a lot, and some of it's not at all, but the thing to consider is how much sleep are you getting in one night. If you aren't getting a full night's rest, you could be affecting yourself in many different ways. It could be physically, mentally, or your overall academic performance. Something that us as college students tend to focus on is how are we doing in our classes and how does sleep affect our grades. I understand that sometimes it's not always possible to get 8 hours of sleep a night, but as much as possible is the best bet. And to kind of further explain that, I'm going to start with academic performance in general. In 2016, Eduardo Bermudez published an article in the academic journal titled +1, outlining symptoms of sleep deprivation that affect our overall academic performance. Some of the symptoms that he linked included inability to stay awake in class, lack of focus, and poor memory retention as far as taking exams, studying your notes, things that kind of fall into that category. What this means to you as a student is that these cumulative effects cause you to operate at maybe 70% when you need to be at 100% to do your best. Why disadvantage yourself in an academic setting when you could, in theory, rearrange your schedule to get those 8 hours of sleep? And I understand it's not always possible, and that's okay, but seriously, as much as possible is the best. Other aspects that kind of play into academic performance is your mental health. To kind of further elaborate on that, Stephen Gilbert in 2010 also published information on mental health and academic performance in the Journal of Student Psychology. Some of these findings were furthered up with Yugantar Kadam's publication in the Journal of the Kishner Institute of Medical Sciences. Both journals kind of outlined mental effects being irritability, depression, and social isolation, which, when put together, decrease the students' ability to succeed in classrooms, whether or not you're inability to relate to your professor or talk to them or work with other students. Regardless, the effect is there, and it's difficult to overcome, especially when it's something as simple or even as difficult as sleep deprivation, depending on the person. On that same note of thought, physical health is also extremely important to consider. What specifically physical health? Well, severe weight loss, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease, all three of them being things that nobody really wants to endure. It leads to exhaustion, and that exhaustion kind of cycles right back into the academic thing I brought up in the first point. So I guess the best way to go from here is to kind of elaborate on this. So specifically speaking, Al Albri, Muhammad, Ryan Powell, and Eleonora Tolbadini have all published research surrounding this physical, mental, and academic phenomenon that I'm talking about. And of course, these articles will be published at the end of the video. But for now, I'm kind of going to give you an example. So say you have a scale, right? And on this scale, you have sleep deprivation, and on this scale, you have a full night's rest. In this mode of thought, you're kind of wanting to focus on, well, am I getting enough sleep? What's the benefits? We'll do pros and cons, right? Sleep deprivation, the cons are that you're mentally exhausted, physically exhausted, not able to participate in class, you're removed from your setting, you're underperforming, you're 70%, and you don't want to be 70%. People say strive for your best. It's not 70. And on that flip side, you have the full 8 hours of rest, the pros, the why, the reason, the speech, and it's, okay, fine, you're not going to have as much time, but what is time and what's more important? Being able to focus in the 8 hours that you're in class, or having that extra 2 hours at night to get your last minute exam done? The questions you have to ask yourself is, could I have rearranged my time to do this any other way? Am I not sleeping enough because of poor time management, and what it is? And if you rearrange everything and you find out that you really can't afford to sleep, then maybe you should prioritize, because these are permanent, and in many ways, the negative effects are either immediate or they're long-term, like cardiovascular disease. Yes, it's long-term, but depression, irritability, and failing your classes are all immediate. Fail your classes, and suddenly you don't have a career because you didn't get placed in a job or you didn't get into grad school. The overall point is that they're all linked, and having one suddenly makes, if your physical health is down, it makes your mental health worse, and it makes your academic performance to go down. If you have bad grades, it's going to hurt your mental health. If you have bad mental health and bad physical health, obviously your academic performance is going to be shot because of the cumulative effect. In closing, if we do not, as college students, kind of redefine the stereotype that, oh, college students never sleep, then this isn't going to change. Together, we kind of have to make this a priority and really focus on this and make this what we think about throughout the day. How can I arrange my life so that I can get the maximum amount of sleep necessary? Maybe if we do this, the problem will be solved. Thank you guys for listening. I hope this is something that you guys find beneficial. My name is Tyler Walters, and I hope you guys enjoy your day.